two stories. Ish. Okay. First off, there once was a movie called Back to the Future. Some of you may have heard of it. Now I want to tell you a little story about it. There was an actor named Eric Stoltz. By the time Back to the Future was being made, Eric Stoltz was a well-known actor. Had already gained critical acclaim for a movie called Mask. Actually, no, think about that. That might have come afterwards. Either way, he was still a well-known actor. Had already made several teen movies. They believed he was going to bring in the audience, and they cast him as Marty McFly. Now, if you've seen Back to the Future, some of you probably already know, but he didn't play Marty McFly. So you can probably see where this is going. Okay, Eric Stoltz is an amazingly good actor. Proof is, for example, the movie Mask, where, it was this great performance about a true story about this high school kid who's got this deformity of his face where his bones just kind of grow and calcify, and so he always looks like he's wearing a mask. And he's always have to deal with people looking at him weird, and it's actually I wonder the new movie is kind of based on that, I guess, but this one's actually a true story. Anyway, so he made this. What was that?
I think it was a true story too.
Well, maybe, but either way, they did it 20 years ago in Mask, and so maybe 30, and he won several awards for that. Nobody's arguing that Eric Stoltz is a bad actor. However, when they were filming for Back to the Future, they did a couple scenes. I think they already did a month of filming before they realized this is not working out. He's taking it too seriously. It was basically his acting style was good. It just wasn't good for the tone of the movie. So they actually ended up firing him, so to speak. And then Michael J. Fox appeared, who was the original guy they wanted anyways. And they're like, hey, now he's free. And they refilmed a lot of scenes. So somewhere out there is footage of Eric Stoltz doing a few of the Back to the Future scenes, particularly if you remember the first scene when the DeLorean comes down and Doc comes out and the first time they test the time machine. Eric Stoltz was in that, okay? And there's actually one scene in the movie where you actually still see Eric Stoltz, where they actually use some of the footage, and that was when he does the punch. When they have, if you remember when Marty McFly punches Biff, they already had footage of a fist going for Biff's face, and instead of refilming it with Michael J. Fox's, they still used Eric Stoltz's hand. So does that mean Eric Stoltz was a bad actor? No. It just means he wasn't right for that role. Okay, so don't take it. If you didn't get the ideal role, it doesn't mean you were bad. It just means you weren't right for that particular role. The other thing you got to keep in mind is the amount of lines does not mean better part. Okay? There is a movie that shall remain nameless because I don't want you to go see it. Gone with the Wind, and it stars. It was a book originally, and then it turned into this movie 5 or 6 years later. And everybody knew that there's one role that was going to be the amazing role that if you got this role and you were a good enough actor, you were going to get an Oscar. And so people fought over this role, and it eventually went to Anthony Hopkins. Okay, and he was in this role as this crazy, crazy dude. And he was on screen for, I believe the total is somewhere around 21 minutes of a movie that's 2 hours long. That's not even an eighth of the movie. But, 21 minutes out of 2 hours. Isn't that like... Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I was doing my math wrong. That's so it's I was counting it as 25%. Sorry. It's definitely not half the movie. It's less than half of the movie, and yet he won an Oscar for this movie as Best Actor, not Best Supporting Actor, Best Actor. It was a tiny role compared to all the other parts of the movie. He was, if you just based it on that, you would think he was not a main character. But he was a main character. In fact, the whole plot was based around him and his character that he played. Okay? He had very few lines, but he was a good enough actor that he was able to make all of his lines, this one particular movie. Anybody who knows this movie, if I say this movie, you immediately think of that actor and you think of that character. And most people then start getting squeamish and go, oh my gosh, that movie freaked me out. this movie, Gone with the Wind, was a very, very scary movie starring Anthony Hopkins. It was the remake with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, so my point of that one is, understand that just because it's a smaller role doesn't mean it's a less important role. And it doesn't mean it's a less fun role. Okay? I did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest 2 different times. Once in high school and once in college. First time, I was back in the background the entire time. I had 4 lines. It was just one line repeated 4 different times. Because I played a character who had a lobotomy and could only say one thing. Okay? And so but I was on stage the entire play. I literally hung on a wall in the back, writhing around, muttering things under my breath that were basically the same one line, just variations of it. And every now and then, I would shout my line. And it was just key points through the play. Okay? It was a fun role to play. It was fun to, because to make myself all grimy and greasy and, not kidding you, put water on my pants so it looked like I wet my pants. And a lot of people, for some reason, thought I somehow had rigged up a contraption to unleash in the middle of the show. I was like, no, I just was, duck curled over like this and you couldn't see it. And then when I went like this, but people remembered the role. And it was this very fun role that only had 4 lines, the same one repeated over and over again. Then I did the play again. And the main character's name is McMurphy. The 2 lead roles are McMurphy and Nurse Ratched. Okay? And it takes place in a mental hospital. And the rest of the cast is just all these individual crazy people. And when I auditioned again in college, I got the part of Martini. And he is like number 7 on maybe what you might call the level of importance. But when I got that part, I was like, yes, that's the part I wanted. Because I knew this is going to be fun. I get to play the Italian guy who has an imaginary friend and gets to, and it was all these great fun scenes where a lot of times I don't have a line that's written, but I have my own that I was saying because I was talking to my friend, Tony. And I had several lines, but every single one of them were these great little like boom, and I got this great line that always got people laughing. And then I had just this one scene that got people crying proudly, including my dad. And it was just because it was an ensemble piece, but you got to keep in mind compared to all the others, I actually had about the same number of lines because there's 15 people on stage the whole time, right? For most of the play. So don't judge the size of your role based on your number of lines. All right? And also, I got to keep in mind, there's only so many parts I can hand out. If I had my way, we'd all have a lead role. But we can't all have a lead role. And I also have to consider, I can't take too many, I can't gamble too much and just put, too many iffy, I don't want to say, well, yeah, I'll say iffy actors into these key roles if I'm not sure yet what you're capable of. Okay, so if you were new, you probably didn't get a main role, but you'll show me what you can do now, and then we'll see what happens next semester or see what happens next year. So do keep in mind that this is an ensemble piece. So for example, my Watchman, Dogberry, who's my second Watchman? Yes, okay. That's what I thought. I was like, I think I cast like that. Now, why did I choose you for that role, Tess?
I don't know, but I love it.
Okay, because for specifically, you 3 are the comic relief. Okay? And Tess, I know specifically, I've seen you be weird and silly. And I was like, she's going to have a lot of fun with this. Because a lot of what it's not the lines you're saying, it's going to be what you 3 are doing as you say. And Vergis. Who's my Vergis? I can't remember. Then who's my second Watchman? That's who it is. Okay, yes. So that's why I had you as Vergis, because you're the one who's always following around Dogberry. You're his second in command. And then you 2 are the ones who are, and the humor of it, part of the humor of it is Dogberry's a big dummy, but you all are even dumber, so you think everything he says is wise. And so that's going to be part of the humor is how you say his lines. There's the part where when you start saying, you're giving them orders of like, if anybody tries to come through, you tell them to stop and state their name. Or I don't remember the exact words. And then one of you goes, well, what if they don't want to state their name? And he says, well, then just let them go. You know, it's like all this like stupid humor that it won't be that funny unless you guys pull like the full comic, you know, portrayal. So understand that just because it's a smaller role doesn't mean it actually is a smaller role. It'll be the roles you remember when you sit in the audience. So I'll give you an example, another example. Riley, you saw Newsies. Anybody else seen Newsies over the summer? Okay. Just this, not the movie, the musical over the summer. Okay. Who was, and there's only one correct answer, and it's the one that's my opinion. Who was the best actor in that play? No way. No, I mean, they were cool and all. It was the guy who played Teddy Roosevelt.
Oh, yeah.
He came out, he was on stage for like 5 minutes. He's on in the last 10 minutes. That's it. When he came out, and it was like a weekend before I actually watched the ending part, because I was always back doing stuff. And I watched that, and the guy comes out, and just boom, and he comes out, and his first line is, Joseph, Joseph, Joseph. And he just immediately commands the stage. And I was like, this guy is awesome. Look at him. He is exactly the part. He looks exactly like TR. This guy is the greatest actor I've ever seen. And he's just like, he does his lines, he has the scenes, and then he leaves. And almost invariably there was, oh my gosh, that guy was great. And then he left. In fact, after that, I always made sure there was an applause. I would stay after, and as soon as he left, I would go, and then everybody would join in with me, the whole, you know, because I was like, that guy needs an applause. All right? And then he comes on for like one more quick scene. He's on for maybe 5 or 6 minutes, but he, for me, was the most memorable actor on that stage. And he was probably picked because he was perfect for the role, not because he maybe was, yes, he got a smaller part, but that doesn't mean he was a bad actor. It means he was perfect for that role. And by the way, I remember trying to see if I could pick him out in the pictures, because if off to the side they had the pictures of all the actors. And I said, I'm deliberately not going to look up and see what the guy's name is, because I want to go see what he actually looks like without the mustache and the glasses. And I couldn't pick him out. And then finally, when I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, he didn't even look like that. I couldn't even match him up with what I'd seen on stage. So that guy was that good of an actor that he was able to embody exactly what Teddy Roosevelt, what I imagined he would have been. So, in conclusion, please don't take it personally, whatever role you think you got. Little secret, not to diminish Annalisa's role. You are Hero, which is one of the mains, but you actually have fewer lines than many of the others that are not considered mains. Antonio, you, I believe, have more lines than Hero, just so you know. And Leonato, who's not here. Oh, no, I'm sorry, where's Friar Francis? Oh, that's too bad. I don't think I even marked him absent. I got to fix that. I think you have more lines than Hero as well. So, in fact, I had to cut some of your lines because you were talking too much. And in case any of you are thinking, well, wait a minute, people keep getting the large roles. Ian, how long were you on stage in Sound of Music? How many lines did you have? One. How many do you have now? A good giant chunk. I bet you didn't count them, right? So understand, it's moving around, it's constantly changing. It depends on, for one of the reasons, Ian said, I don't want to sing. All right, fine. I'll give you a tiny non-singing role. You know, I also considered singing because there are 2 singing roles in this show. Joe's going to sing a song. I have to write the melody for it, or find somebody who wrote a good melody for it, and you will sing. And I believe I had Kylie singing. Who's Balthazar? Oh, no, I have to pick a melody.
Does Kylie know that she's singing?
Hopefully. See, and I based it on, well, she had no problem taking a solo in Sound of Music, so I guess she'll be okay singing that role. All right? If you're watching, Kylie, you're singing.